Moving on to, I guess, the final topic of the day. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers have been, the consistent, stable franchise for the last no, honestly, for the last, since the Super Bowl merger. They have literally been the stable of consistency. They've had less head coaches than Panthers starting quarterbacks in the last 2 years. Like, that's crazy. They've had three head coaches in their entire span. And obviously one of them is Mike Tomlin, who's been known for just not sucking, right? Like, he hasn't been known for being great. He's just known for never being bad. Now, obviously, Mike Tomlin's got a bowl. He's made the playoffs a bunch of times in the last, decade. But it really just comes down to now, if I'm a Steelers fan, am I really just okay with 9 wins a year? Like, I'm not, right? So, I mean, now we're going to kind of talk about it, right? Will the Steelers keep their above 500 streak going? And I'll let Srikar kind of start it off. But, what do you think? I mean, is it like really just worth, a mediocre top 14 season?
Yeah, it's a little wild to me that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. I'm going to go on record. I'm going to say this is going to be his first. Pittsburgh, I'll say this, they have a terrific defense, specifically up front. I love their defense. But the offense, I think it's one of the weakest in the league. The Steelers have more questions than answers at quarterback. I don't like their offensive line. You got decent weapons, but I mean, Najee Harris is an elite. Deontay Johnson is an elite. Chase Claypool is an elite. Pat Fryermuth not elite. So they're all good. They're all great. But and then you got a second place schedule. You're in the AFC North, so you have the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens to deal with, and they're all could be double-digit win teams. Is going to be a long road for Pittsburgh to finish above 500. And you could argue that last year Tomlin, had one of his best coaching jobs, reaching the playoffs at 9-7-1, despite having Big Ben, who was practically struggling to throw with any type of velocity at all. So to get there again, he's going to have to be even better than that. And unfortunately, I don't see it coming together for Pittsburgh to go, 9-8 or 10-7.
It's funny because Big Ben was top three in passing yards in the second half, which just wanted to throw that out there. But I can't predict it till I see it. I can't. Like, look, the Steelers, they have a formula. They're not asked to outscore their opponents. They're simply asked to play better defense and really just get that last, extra couple points. Like, they're not going to outscore your offense. They're gonna make plays with their defense to where they barely score more than you. Like, and it's like, do you get what I mean? Like, that's how they're gonna win.
I get that, but how long can that really last?
No, yeah, I know, and but it's crazy to me to think about, just because when I watch them, right, you play all these great offenses, but they just always find a way to get in their heads, right? Like, I mean, the Titans, they hold 16 points. The Ravens, who are high flying, they hold them to 19. It's just what they do, and they have so many questions. I'm gonna disagree with you, and I think their weapons are pretty good. I think they're some of the more consistent ones around the league. I don't think they have a bad spot, which is, a lot of teams have a weakness. I don't think they do. Like, I don't think they have a considerable hole. Obviously, their offensive line, I'm glad they made some additions, but they're gonna get better. The Steelers are a power run team anyway, so offensive line love that. Even if they're not talented, it helps offensive line anyway. So I'm not too worried about them there. I just can't predict it till I see it. So I'm really on this fence, right? Because it's like, now it's 17 games and 8 wins is not going to be enough for 500 or above. Yeah. I think I had them 8-9 in the playoff predictors I did. I think they just hover around the 8-9. My only thing with this topic, and what I really wanted to, say to you guys, is just like, how long, like, Steelers fans, right? Because look, I hate the Steelers. I'm a Browns fan, but so I'm not complaining. But it's just like this mediocrity, right? And even the 11-0 start, right? It was a very fluky start, and look at them throughout the decade. They've been to one championship game, right? They've had constant playoff disappointment. And even in the years that they didn't make it, they've just been middle of the pack. Like, I don't think anyone has truly feared the Steelers as a championship winning team since they won it. Really. I don't think any team, I don't think they've been top 3 in terms of true power rankings, right? Not just by winning 11 games in a row. They have not been a true top 3 team since the Super Bowl year. So I think one of these years, I think it's really important to just, let it all out. Fail one year, right? Get a good draft pick and build up. Like doing bad, you get good draft picks throughout the draft. So you're getting good value throughout. And obviously Mike Tomlin is here to stay. He's like, he's not old, right? He's not like super old. He's here to stay. And you've got some young guys. I'm glad that they're doing this. So they're rebuilding, but they're not rebuilding at the same time. But I think you've got to take a bigger step towards getting higher, right? Because you don't want to just get back to where you were last year. No one fears you, right?
I think this is just what Pittsburgh does. They retool or reload. They're
never.
But
I don't and I'm not a fan of that. And obviously, this is going to be their first starter in over 17 years that's not named Big Ben Roethlisberger. So let's see in the direction that they kind of go, and I'm really anxious to see that. Can he do the same things that Big Ben was? And I think that what's an underrated facet that people don't appreciate about old veteran quarterbacks is just their IQ. Like, this is Big Ben, as maybe as lackluster of a talent as he was, he knew how football works. He knows the game in and out. And I think that's a really big facet that people are going to miss. Even when he missed the year in 2019, he was on the sideline every game, right? He's helping his quarterbacks. That's why they won the 8 games. He was a big part of that, right? You could see him communicating with each and every quarterback. He had that little headset, he had his hat on, and he was there, right? So he's not going to be there anymore, and I think that's a pretty underrated facet that people aren't really looking at, and that's why I can understand why you think they could go under 500 this year.
I think in my playoff prediction, I think I had them like 7-10.
I think it's just a little branch, right, of a stable tree that you're breaking, but it's a big one, right, in Big Ben. So yeah. I think if anything is going to cause them to break that streak, it's number 7, right? Yeah, I think, yeah. So but I think we still kind of, like, as of right now, I just can't fully buy into it. But if anything, right, I would just say the biggest factor for why is Big Ben's absence.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's just that I agree with you in that, like, I can't believe it until I see it. But if I'm just predicting it now in June, I just don't think they're gonna do it.
Like, honestly, I think last year's roster had a better chance of going less than 500 than this year's roster. And I know that's, like, pretty bold, right? Considering that the AFC is more stacked this year and, like, their roster can be seen as worse. But, like, if you looked at it, I mean, they were just, like, if you looked at them to start the year off, they were just flat out outmatched by their opponents, right? Like, you saw the Raiders game, right? You saw the Bengals game. What else was it? Like, they started off, I think, like 1-3, 1-4. They lost to the Packers. They were like 1-4. So they were simply outmatched by their opponents. And I thought that was, like, really the year where it was like, oh, okay, we're seeing it, right? Terrible start. What do? They pick it on up. Teams get fatigued, right? Offenses get a little bit tired, and what do? They pounce on it. So, and I obviously think TJ Watt is one of the 3 best defensive players in the game. So, when he's on your team, you can really change the outcome. They benefited through some injuries when they played a couple teams, but the schedule is not going to be easy on them. I'll tell you that.
Not.
Yeah. Well, that concludes our episode for today. Actually, let us know in the comments what you think, if the Steelers will repeat or not. Interested in hearing that. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating if you're listening on Spotify. This has been the Cold Hard Truth Podcast, and we will see you guys next time.